Okay, cruisers and potential future cruisers, are you team interior stateroom or team balcony stateroom? Maybe your team, I don't know, you're unsure. You don't know if you should book an interior or a balcony. This is your first cruise, and you need some information to help you make that decision. No worries, I got you. That's what we're going to address today. I'm going to try to keep it simple, guys. So here are the factors I'm using. We're going to assume you have two people in this stateroom, two people, just to keep it simple. Okay. The other thing we're going to do, we're going to break it down to two important factors. One is more complicated than the other. We're going to start with the least complicated factor, and that is square footage. The square footage difference between an interior stateroom and a balcony stateroom. If you look at the cruise industry and you look at the average interior stateroom size in the cruise industry, and when I say cruise industry, I should say the cruise lines that sail out of the United States. We're going to keep it simple, okay? They roughly are between 140 and 175 square feet for an interior. Now, interior means there's no windows. So it's usually a square or rectangular shaped room, and it's compact, but it is very efficient the way it's laid out. So you have that. Now, going across the average industry size for a balcony, square footage wise, is somewhere in the 180 square foot to 275 foot square range, and then add another 35 to 100 square foot for the balcony. So it is sizable. The difference is sizable between the two. But in the real world, both of them are tiny compared to like your standard hotel on good old dry land. So that's the size difference. And now we're saying average. Some interior rooms will be bigger. Some might be a little smaller. Some balconies might be a little bigger. Some balconies might be a little smaller. But we're only talking about standard staterooms, and we're not talking about suites. Suites are a whole nother animal. And we're also not talking about ocean view. There's actual staterooms that have a window or a porthole window or a big window where you can see outside. But generally you can't open these windows, but you can get a view outside. They're called ocean view staterooms. We're not going to talk about that because it muddies the waters and makes it more complicated. So now, square footage is important. But at the end of the day, money talks, guys. Money talks. So what's the real deal? It's what's the price difference, okay? So the prices I'm going to give you are averages. Now, some prices will be lower, some prices will be higher, but it'll put you in the general range. And they're all going to be based on 7-day cruise itineraries to keep it simple. Two people, 7-day cruise itineraries. On average, I did a little research, and cruise lines sailing out of the U.S., on average, the interior is going to range between $500 and $800 per person, plus prepaid gratuities and port fees and taxes. So we're going to ignore prepaid gratuities, port fees, and taxes. We'll discuss those in another video, but we're just going to stay at the basic core cruise rate. At the same time, the average balcony price is going to be somewhere between probably $900 and $1,300 per person on average. Now, there's some factors that weigh in that will have a drastic impact on those prices. For one, you have budget cruise lines where the average prices are going to be towards the lower end of those numbers I just gave you. And then you have your mid-level, which will put you right in the average range. And then you're going to have your more premium cruise experience like Celebrity and Holland America, Princess, and those are going to be towards the top end of the price, maybe even above the prices I just mentioned, because you're paying for a more premium cruise experience, so the prices go up. So if you're looking at it as a general rule, the price difference is going to be on average between probably $400 and $600 more for a balcony over an interior. It could be a little higher. It could be $800. We've had cruises, guys, where we priced them, and the balcony was like $900 more than an interior. All right, we'll get into that in a minute. But so that's what you're looking at. Now, one thing that will happen if you never booked a cruise before, they'll usually send you an email when you get several weeks out. You're getting close, you're getting excited. Yeah, you're ordering a bunch of stuff off Temu and Amazon. Your packages are coming in. I got a new Hawaiian shirt. You're pumped up. Oh, what's this? I got an email from Celebrity, and they're offering you the opportunity to upgrade your stateroom to, say you have an interior and they want you to upgrade to a balcony, and they can do that for $600 more, and you can get a balcony. Well, guess what? You probably could have got that for the same price when you booked a cruise. So as a rule of thumb, I wouldn't consider any upgrade from an interior to a balcony unless it's $350 total for you both to do it. So $175 per person. So if you can upgrade to a balcony, say for $350, maybe even $400, it might be worth it. Now that's if you really you would prefer a balcony, but you're trying to save money on an interior. Now, as far as the money situation goes, now I'm going to talk about our situation, how Laura and I cruise. Laura and I, when we first started cruising together, we did 2 cruises before we started our channel. Then the pandemic hit. And then during the pandemic, we sat at home and we were watching cruise vlogs, and boom, 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 boom. 4 years later, here we are. We got a channel too. Now, when we first started cruising as cruise vloggers, we talked about it, and I'm like, well, we need to try like different staterooms and share different experiences, and so we could show people the differences between like interiors and balconies. The problem is Laura has a mild case of claustrophobia. So our first 2 cruises were on Royal Caribbean, our first 2 cruises together. Laura was like on 6 cruises before she got with me, before she found me. She didn't find me on Craigslist or anything, but before she found me, she'd been on like 4 or 5 cruises. So we did 2 together, and they were both balcony staterooms. So when we started our channel, we started booking cruises. We were booking balconies because she was afraid to try an interior, because she's afraid without having the option of stepping outside and seeing the outside, and seeing the outside through the glass, it would make her feel claustrophobic and she wouldn't enjoy herself. So we kept saying, all right, well, maybe next time we'll try it. When you feel up to it, we'll try it. 20 cruises later, guys, 20 cruises, 22 counting the 2 we did before we started. She finally had the nerve to try an interior stateroom. So we're talking recent history, guys. We're going back to October of last year, 2024. We decided we were going to book the Celebration, a back-to-back, and we did an interior on a back-to-back. So not only were we doing an interior for the first time, we were doing a back-to-back. That meant we're going to stay in that same stateroom for 14 straight days. So it's like, I hope she can handle it, right? Because she has to at this point. So what happened was, we did the back-to-back cruise, and the back-to-back cruise, that's another topic I've discussed on this channel before, how back-to-back cruises work. Way we do it is, when we book a back-to-back cruise, we make sure we get the same stateroom for both weeks, so we don't have to pack up and move into a new stateroom for week number 2. That's our pro tip. If you're considering doing a back-to-back cruise, make sure you do it early enough so that you can have the same room both weeks. It saves you, man, when everybody's packing up that last night to get out the ship, you're out at the bar having a blast. You're like, yeah, we'll miss you, brother. And then the next day you're sitting there going, hey, new friends, greeting all the new people, and because you don't have to worry about your luggage or anything. It is the most relaxing embarkation day, week number 2 on a back-to-back, when you have the same stateroom. Anyways, we did that. And one of the pro tips we got from many of our friends out there was just turn on the TV and put the cruise, the ship cam on. The cam from the bridge that shows the outside. You can look at the Lido deck, you can look at the ocean. At night in the ocean, you really don't see much, but the Lido deck's always lit up. So you feel like you're still looking out a window. So that's a good cheat for people that are worried about claustrophobia. But doing a back-to-back and doing it with an interior, it saved us a fortune, guys. So we bought the drink package for both weeks, right? So we saved about $1,200 almost on the difference. I think it's closer to $1,000, maybe $900, a little under $1,000 by doing the interior both weeks. So that almost paid for like 1 week's drink package. So it was cool. And we liked it. Now, I will tell you, I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but on the Celebration, that's the Carnival's XL class ships. And I have to warn you, we love those ships, but they have the smallest staterooms we've ever seen on a cruise ship. So that was a good test, going in a tiny room like that and seeing how it worked out. And we have a lot of little workarounds for being efficient in our room. We use the magnetic hooks. We hang things on the walls, so we're pretty efficient. We're proficient, efficient cruisers, so we made it work, and we loved it. You know what we loved about it? We loved how dark it is. We loved coming back to the room. We decided to take a mid-afternoon nap after, a little too much sun, a little too much drinking, and you go into that room, and it's much cooler. Balcony rooms and ocean view rooms, guys, the sun is beating on that glass all day long. Even if you have the curtains drawn, the heat's building up between the curtain and the glass. It's seeping into the room. Your air conditioning system is working double time trying to keep the room cool. Interior room, it's like an ice box. If you want to have a nice, cool room, a really dark, cool place to be in, interiors are awesome. The other thing, quiet. Way more quiet than a balcony. Balcony staterooms, when you're in them, you hear people boom, 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 and you're they're sliding their deck chairs on their balconies. They're in and out. You hear people talking out there. It can get kind of loud at times. So that's the downside of a balcony stateroom. So if you want it being warmer, a warmer room, and oh my gosh, if you forget and leave your curtains open, you leave and come back at the end of the day, you'll feel like the air hasn't even been on. So take it from us. We've been on a lot of balcony cruises. They do have their drawbacks. Now, if you've never been on a cruise before, I highly recommend your first cruise, get a balcony. It's a crazy experience to walk out on that balcony in the middle of the night and look at those stars and look at the ocean. It's incredible. But it's a novelty, though. It wears off after a while. I swear in our last, 10 cruises in a balcony, Laura didn't even set foot on the balcony. Now, you'll see a lot of vlogs on our channel where it looks like I'm standing, with the ocean behind me. That's usually from a balcony in one of our staterooms. So it does have its benefits, but it's not quiet out there. Because every time I'm out there trying to do a video, there's someone, yeah, Bob, and then you were doing the wobble, and someone's talking, and doors are slamming, and you have people peeping around because they hear you talking to yourself. It's an odd life being a vlogger, guys. So anyways, bottom line, you have to decide what's right for you. If you want the experience of walking out on that balcony and seeing the ocean at night and the stars at night, sitting out there with a nightcap with your loved one, or having coffee in the morning on the balcony, a lot of people like that. A lot of people watch the sunrise, sunset from their balcony when the ship's on the appropriate side. Your balcony is on an appropriate side where you can see those things. And people like that. If you think you're the kind of folks that are going to do that, Laura and I would rather sit out one of the big public spaces to see the ocean. We'd rather be sitting in the bar drinking rather than our room. So you have to figure out what works for you. But if you want to cruise more, if you do 3 interior cruises, it will just about pay for a 4th cruise. So if you think of it that way, and if you're a drinker or a gambler, you can use that money in the casino. You could use that money to offset the cost of your drink package. You can use that money to pay for specialty dining. There's so many better uses for that money, in my opinion. So first-time cruiser, I'd say get a balcony if you can afford it. And then I would say the second time you cruise, 85% of cruisers, guys, come back. Did you know that? Your second time you cruise, try an interior and then compare the two. A lot of people are lifelong interior folks, team interior. They try a balcony for the first time and go, I'm free at last. I'm never going back to an interior. So you have to make that decision for yourself. So let me know. Team interior, team balcony, what is it? Do you not care? Would you sleep in the machine room? Would you sleep on the deck, on a lounge chair? Are you just happy to be on a cruise ship? Whatever it might be. I'll talk to you soon, guys.